So my name is Andrea Azcarate, and I'm an associate professor at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. So my areas of expertise are bacteriology. I became a microbiologist about 20 years ago, and I'm also I have expertise in bacterial physiology and functional genomics. About over 10 years ago, I transfer or I moved into the gut microbiome research. Mostly, it was something easy for me because my research has always been on probiotics and prebiotics, so beneficial bacteria and beneficial modulators of the gut microbiota, and that's actually my area of interest. I believe that we can or we should understand the mechanisms that prevent disease rather than treat disease. So if we have, and most of it is common sense, if you have a diet that is a healthy diet, rich in prebiotics, rich in fermented foods, you're gonna be healthier than a person that doesn't eat well. So my area of interest is gut microbiota health and prevention and beneficial interventions. I became part of gut microbiome because I think there's room for specifically a journal that concentrates on the gut, but at the same time is the gut and the systemic effects of disease and interventions. So I believe that there was a space, there was a scientific space and a scientific void that was filled by the journal, and I was very excited about this. And of course, about all the colleagues and the other editors, which are fantastic. So I am particularly interested in the scope of the Gut Microbiome Journal because it fits perfectly into my own area of research. But beyond that, I think it complements and it brings together and it blends a lot of areas of research. I think that the journal will be specific enough and general enough to blend the areas and to bring the expertise and to bring the publications and the scientists that are interested in the gut microbiota or the gut as a whole, but also as part of the systemic or of the whole system, the whole body, and how the gut microbiota influences the whole body. We need to remember that we have the highest bacterial load in the gut. In that sense, I believe we are more of a vessel, a container for our bacteria. So we really need to understand that relationship, our relationship with our bacteria, and how they can help us to be healthier and to be healthier and to live longer. In terms of challenges in the field, in this field of research, the first challenge is, of course, the current situation where we have a pandemic that will impact not only the amount of research but the type of research we're doing, and this when we're going to feel that impact for the next 5-10 years or even more. But also in terms of challenges, I think that it's important that we consider different areas within our field and within the journal, the scope of the journal. In which sense? In the sense that we've come from a lot of descriptive studies, and those studies gave us and have provided so much information that cannot be discounted. And we're going to have to keep doing them and taking those snapshots and those pictures and even those movies to see how the microbiota changes with disease, how it changes how it changes with interventions. But then we need to move into, okay, so what are the mechanisms? What is happening with the gut microbiota when it's exposed to that specific condition? How the microbiota, or how the different bacteria or the microbial members of the microbiota interact with each other. I believe that in the next 5 or 10 years, we're going to go back to classical microbiology, in the sense that we we know how to grow more bacteria than we knew 10 years ago. We've learned that from microbiome studies of the gut. So we can grow bacteria, and we can co-culture bacteria and say, so we are putting together different components and different pieces of the puzzle, and we are seeing how they fit with each other. And once we have that information, then we're going to know, okay, we know how they fit with each other. What happens when we bring the host component? So, so I don't know if that can be considered a challenge itself, but I think it's kind of like the future. We have to take this mechanistic, this reductionist approach, where we're trying to put all the pieces apart, so then we can put all the pieces together and make the system work. And I know that many of the approaches that are being taken today are high throughput and omics and everything done in very high scale and large scale. But eventually, those studies that take one bacteria or two bacteria, a small number of bacteria, and we're trying to understand how they interact with each other, are going to be as relevant as that huge omic study that studied 1 million people and their gut microbiota. Gut microbiome will be, or is, an open access journal, and I consider that that's beneficial to all researchers in the world, and that's something that I'm originally from Argentina, and I do remember when I was doing my PhD that at least 80 or 90% of the journals we didn't have access. We had to contact the authors and depend on their goodwill and say, oh, please send us the article because we don't have access. But at the same time, I do believe that a system that helps those researchers that are in areas that don't have that much funding or that much budget for publications, it's an important issue. And needs to be considered. So I think that science is for everybody, and science should be available to everybody. And with that said, I also believe that if you can pay, if you are in a country like the US or Europe, you should pay to publish. And that should be, and the access should be given to all scientists that are around the world. And at the same time, they should be given the opportunity to publish at a discounted rate if necessary. This is a good journal to submit your probiotic work. I think that because that's my area of expertise and that's my area of interest, right? Mm-hmm. So get into, okay, probiotics, prebiotics. This is not another one of those disease focused journals where they only publish about disease. I think that's the message that I would like to convey.